Hello and welcome to another episode of What Travis Says. My name is Travis. Let's talk about Doctor Who. More specifically, let's talk about my personal list of what I feel are Peter Capaldi's top 10 Doctor Who episodes. As we all know, there are great Doctor Who episodes with bad moments and bad Doctor Who episodes with great moments. And these opinions may or may not have been my first impression upon watching one episode, but upon multiple viewings. And I felt like I should do a list like this now that Peter Capaldi's saga is soon coming to a close. Keep in mind that this video is being posted before this year's Christmas special, a Capaldi episode that may or may not ever end up in my top 10. And I'm sure many of you will have a list that's different than mine. So at the end of this video, in the comments down below, leave your top 10 favorite Peter Capaldi Doctor Who episodes. Coming in at number 10, Kill the Moon. A lot of people don't actually like this episode, and neither do I. It's not in my top 10. Gotcha. Alright, all jokes aside, this is my actual top 10 Peter Capaldi Doctor Who list. Number 10, Deep Breath. This is the first full episode that we get with Peter Capaldi as the Doctor. There's that amazing Matt Smith cameo and a dinosaur. It was his first real episode as the Doctor, so Peter Capaldi hadn't actually found his footing, but I feel that that was an important aspect of the Doctor to show. He was in a new batch of regenerations. Maybe this had something to do with his mood or his questionability when it came to his decision making. He was showing aspects of Baker and Pertwee. His attitude was a little sharp. He was a bit rough around the edges. And that new regeneration showed a bit of a revival in Clara as a companion. She wasn't sure how to act around him with his slightly meaner demeanor. And even though there was a dinosaur in this episode, one of the most fun things about the episode was trying to figure out who this new Doctor was, and we got to do that right alongside the companion. Number 9, the return of Dr. Mysterio. With a comic book theme this time, this episode could have been so bad, but it wasn't. The villains weren't especially amazing or scary, but this episode didn't really take itself too seriously anyway. And this episode also brought Nardole back into the fold as a companion. There were definite Clark Kent Superman references, topical and over-the-top aspects of the live-action comic book genre. It was just a lighthearted, fun adventure. But the Doctor, having recently said goodbye forever to River Song, showed that there were emotional aspects to this otherwise campy story. It was nice to see the show of Doctor Who branching out into other genre, even if it did mean the Doctor accidentally creating a superhero. Number 8, Under the Lake. Now this was just a good, solid sci-fi horror episode. The villains can walk through walls, they only come out at night, they're sort of see-through, they're ghosts! But of course, we as fans of Doctor Who know that there's more to it than just paranormal happenings. We're introduced to these characters, and then as the action builds up, we learn more about these characters, but the story didn't feel rushed because there was going to be a part 2. The cliffhanger ending was kind of meh because we knew that the Doctor was not going to be killed, but the ending still made you wonder what exactly is going on here. Number 7, The Husbands of River Song. River Song's final moments before the library, and she doesn't recognize who the Doctor is until the very end. And for the first time we get to see River realize that the Doctor has a new face, one that she's not knowledgeable of. But even more than that, we get to see the Doctor having fun with the entire situation. The Doctor thinks that this whole situation is hilarious and it's campy at parts, but it builds up to this very emotional reveal by River. Number 6, Mummy on the Orient Express. We get to see Peter Capaldi be a little more cold than some of his predecessors in that he's not shy from breaking a few eggs in order to make an omelet. The Doctor has an actual mystery. He's learning how events happen, narrowing down the cause of these attacks, and with the Doctor being seemingly careless with other people's lives, that allows Clara to step up and be a more complex companion. She needs to guide the Doctor towards caring about every life instead of just acting with indifference. And one of the best lines ever from any episode of Doctor Who, sometimes all of your available choices are bad ones, but in the end, you still have to choose. Number 5, The Magician's Apprentice. Viewers are sort of divided on this episode. Some people think that his entrance into the 12th century with a tank and a guitar is amazing. Other people see it as just campy and cheesy and unnecessary. Missy, whose return was incredibly bold and just in your face, was great. It had Davros, and how things fell into place with him was rather surprising. And it brought back a dilemma that the Doctor himself had when he was number 4. If you knew that a child was going to be totally evil, could you kill that child? Number 4, Into the Dalek. Traveling inside a supposedly good Dalek. It's fantastic voyage with a dash of extermination. The plot was not bogged down, danger was literally surrounding our heroes, and the Doctor made some surprising decisions. Peter Capaldi's performance was fantastic, with his flares of anger and somewhat hope for this good Dalek. It brought the storyline back to that whole, am I a good man? And that last line with the Dalek telling the Doctor that he is a good Dalek? Oh, that's such a great line. Number 3, World Enough and Time. Now this is a proper Doctor Who episode. Origin of the Cybermen, first ever multi-master episode, and Bill gets shot through the chest. It was creepy, it was unpredictable, it was thrilling. There was so much going on in this episode, but the story didn't feel bogged down because they didn't need to rush because there was going to be a part 2. The Mendacian pre-Cybermen were some of the creepiest things that I have ever seen in a Doctor Who episode, and the use of the classic music definitely helped the tone. The editing and the writing, top notch. One of the best episodes in a very long time. Number 2, Listen. In my personal opinion, Listen is the Blink for Peter Capaldi's era. The Doctor becomes obsessed with the idea that there are unseen creatures that are so good at hiding that the universe is unaware of their existence. What starts as paranoia eventually circles back around to the Doctor as a child, where he gets his leg grabbed by one of the creatures. That creature being Clara. It was an earlier Capaldi episode, one that allowed him to find his footing when becoming the Doctor. It's weird, it's crazy, it's heartfelt, and it's creepy. And from a monster standpoint, it was a pretty risky move, seeing as how all of these creatures were actually inside of the Doctor's head. And as usual, Capaldi shines. And number 1, Heaven Sent. The Doctor lost Clara, he's trapped in a puzzle castle, and he's entirely on his own. This episode was very emotional. It showed the Doctor being full of grief while also being tormented by this creepy wraith creature. Just the Doctor. No companion, no TARDIS, taken to a far-flung extreme. We learn just how far the Doctor is willing to go, and then some. This is the quintessential Peter Capaldi Doctor Who episode. That's it. That's my list. Those are my top 10 favorite Peter Capaldi Doctor Who episodes. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have a favorite episode that didn't quite make it on my list, but it's definitely on your top 10 list? Leave your list in the comments down below and let's talk about our favorite Peter Capaldi episodes. I feel like the general consensus is that Heaven Sent is a pretty great episode, but I'm sure there were episodes on my list that you didn't quite agree with, and I'm sure that there are episodes on your list that I want to know about, so let me know. As always, my name is Travis, thank you for listening to what I have to say, and you will see me tomorrow.